Guys, this is going to be a hard video to do. The things that this man's done. He gave a speech and then a bunch of boomers rioted on January 8th. It killed many times the number of people who died on 9/11. It was like 9/11 times 1,000. Then he made a phone call to the president of Ukraine. And finally, he publicly met with officials, legally publicly met with officials to try to plead his case to them. And we all know that the right to petition your government is explicitly denied by the American Constitution. But that stuff was all like small change. This is the worst fucking thing this man's ever done. What did he do? He overvalued his properties when he was getting loans from the big banks. That's right. He went to JP Morgan Chase. He went to, it doesn't say, because why would you include that information? News article about the topic to whoever, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, and he lied to them. He lied to these banks and said, look, my assets are way worth way more than I thought they were. And he got better loan terms for them. And it's a crime, guys. It's a crime. Did they lose any money? No, the banks didn't lose any money. All the loans got paid back with interest. The banks wound up making hundreds of millions of dollars off of the deal. Trump made hundreds of millions of dollars off of the deal. No one was actually harmed by this in any way, shape, or form. But guys, what I'm going to do here today is I'm starting a relief fund. So send me your credit card information down in the comments. Send me money on PayPal. I'm going to start a GoFundMe. We're going to start a relief fund to raise money for these banks that Trump stole money from. They only made hundreds of millions of dollars. They should have made a couple more hundreds of millions of dollars by charging him slightly more on interest rates. That is the real crime here. That he wasn't quite as profitable as he maybe could have been for Morgan Stanley, for Bank of America. That is the crime here. That is the worst thing that Trump has ever done, by far. Just the depths of evil that this man is capable of. Defrauding these big banks. So let's see what this says. Okay, I'm done with the sarcastic part of this. So according to the Attorney General of New York, so let's take a look at the Attorney General of New York. Yeah, I think a picture says 1,000 words. That woman definitely doesn't have it in for Trump. Okay, so let's go back to it. Former President Trump submitted fraudulent valuations for assets that were used by himself, his eldest sons, and his business to obtain better loan and insurance terms. A judge in New York decided Tuesday before ordering the cancellation of his company's business certificates in New York. So they're just going to completely shut down the Trump organization. So the crime that he apparently committed is that he overvalued his assets by, like, they claim 812 to $2.2 billion. And they give an example here of an asset that he overvalued. And I'm going to say, like, seriously, if some of you guys in the audience who have a bit of money want to, like, team up with me, you can apparently buy Mar-a-Lago for $18 million. That's what it is. This is Mar-a-Lago. This is Trump's palatial estate on Florida, on the beachfront in Florida. This is $18 million, guys. You can own this for that much. Also, it's the residence of a former president, possibly future president. I mean, look at that. This definitely looks like something that you could buy for $18 million, doesn't it? It doesn't look like it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars at all, just for being on the beach in Florida. But that's the truth. Is Trump said that he valued Mar-a-Lago between $400 and $600 million, but it was actually 18 to 27 million. That seems like a very accurate valuation. Like, that's like what, like, some fucking family homes go for in the GTA. That's nothing. We're supposed to believe that, like, I don't know, a big house in, like, in Toronto is worth, like, the same as a palatial estate in, like, Miami, Florida, or wherever it is. I don't know. It's just it's a little sus to me, a little sussy. Let's just go back and read this. The judge immediately canceled all of the defendants' business certificates and ordered that they must recommend no more than 3 potential independent receivers to manage the dissolution of the Trump organization within 10 days. The judge said that Trump and other defendants have a propensity to engage in fraud, severely undercutting the defense Trump will offer when the case goes to trial next month. He said that fraudulently inflated the value of properties, including Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, his own triplex apartment in New York City, as well as all his other properties. So we'll get to this in a sec. Eric Trump, who runs the Trump Organization to day-to-day operations, responded on X, previously known as Twitter, saying, "Today I lost all faith in the New York legal system." Dude, you had faith in the New York legal system? We have run an exceptional company, never missed a loan payment, making banks hundreds of millions of dollars, developing some of the most iconic assets in the world. Yet today the persecution of my family continues. Trump also said the banks were paid back in full, sometimes early. There were no defaults. The banks made money, were represented by law firms, and were very happy. There were no victims. I mean, is he wrong? Like, let's be honest. All the sarcasm and crying aside, and these fucking F slurs, these pieces of fucking human filth, want to sit here and cry. Like, okay, so let's pretend that Trump did everything he said he did. He lied to Wall Street. The same massive pieces of shit who have fucked over like the average American so many times with their usury, with their loans, with all the other shit they do. We're supposed to get mad that Trump lied to them about the value of his companies. That's it. That's the thing that Trump apparently did. That was so bad. We have to dissolve his fucking business empire. The fact that Biden threatened to withhold aid from Ukraine unless they gave his son a business deal, that's not criminal. This is criminal. So here's why I think this is accurate. The banks aren't suing him. The banks have taken no legal action to him. As he said, they were happy with the deal. They were happy with the deal. They made money. No one gave a shit about this until this distinguished gentle lady here decided that she was just going to bring it up and go after Trump. I didn't even think attorney generals went after civil litigation. I mean, was this even necessarily a law that was broken, or is this some sort of civil thing? But I mean, New York doesn't have any real crimes to solve. They don't have any murders or domestic violence or rapes or muggings to solve. They have to deal with Trump. Okay, so let's just go in and talk about this for a minute. So, property valuation. Now, people can correct me below. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a accountant. I'm not a businessman. But isn't trying to put the highest value possible on your properties,
Catherine.
Alex, this is the first impeachment.
a pretty standard part of how business works? Isn't that this woman thought she was clever. She said it was the art of the steal because he stole money from Wall Street. Once again, this is what they're going for. This is what they're getting him on. That he took money from JP Morgan. Does anyone care? People probably think it's base that he took money from these F slurs. The F slurs who are screwing up. This is the thing, and sorry, we'll get back on the topic in a second. This is why people love Trump. Because, are we supposed to be angry that he fucked with Wall Street? That's a king move. Okay, but did he actually do anything illegal? Let's get into that. So, at the core of what they're alleging here, at least to me, is that Trump overvalued his properties. He said it was worth more than it actually was to get better loan terms. Now, as I said, I'm not a businessman. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a real estate agent. But I do know when someone's selling a house, don't they normally put the initial offering really, really high, higher than what they expect to get, and then they gradually lower it to the level that the market will bear, the idea being they will get the best price they possibly can. I mean, if you watch the show Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, the people always come in and overvalue their companies. They'll sometimes overvalue it by like a factor of 10. And they'll be like, well, you got the idea, you got the potential, you have the intangibles, and they'll go back and forth and argue over the valuation of the company. I don't like, is this supposed to be something like weird that Trump tried to make it seem like his property was worth the most it was? And the whole idea of like, I don't know, I feel like there's some subjectivity going into this. Because isn't to a certain extent the value of something what people are willing to pay for it? I mean, I guess you could do an estimate based on similar property, what it's selling for, and that sort of thing. But if you go to like any, let's take silver websites. If I want to buy some silver coins, all silver coins you buy online, including rounds, which aren't even fiat, are going to cost significantly above spot price. So is it fraud that they charge extra because they stamp it and mail it to you and it's like certified or whatever? I guess according to this that would be fraud because that's like it's not the exact material amount of like it's just so fucking stupid. So everybody like has to give exact real estate estimates, and if but like once again, is it illegal for someone to put their house on the market for $12 million if it's worth 100,000? Like, is that actually a crime? Is that what we're saying here? That that's a crime? I don't know. That sounds like I don't know. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So let's just kind of go through some more of this. So, what a clusterfuck. Oh, it actually says it here. Property values are not subjective. They are not subjective at all. And I mean, if, like, I guess they claim that he lied about the square footage of his properties, I'm going to have to see receipts on that one. I'm going to have to see what they claimed he lied about, etc. Because if you grossly misrepresent something, that's something different. Like, if you sell everybody a coin that you claim is 1 ounce of gold, but it's copper with gold plating, obviously that's fraud. But if you go up to somebody and you say, look, I have this copper coin, do you want to buy it for 10 grand? The guy goes, sure. And he buys it, that's not fraud. You can say the other person's like an idiot. You can say it's kind of a sleazy thing to do to sell something for so far above its price. But I don't really see how that's illegal or even really unethical. Now, here is the part of this that makes the least sense. So we know that they're just making this shit up about him. So we're pretending here that the banks are the victim of this like Wile E. Coyote tier fraud that that Trump's come up with, but I think there's something we're missing. We're supposed to believe that the banks did no due diligence. We're supposed to believe that the wealthiest real estate banks in the country went up with a controversial, I don't know if he's controversial at the time, but a billionaire property developer in an extremely risky industry like Donald Trump, and they just took all of his evaluations. Not a single person in any of those offices read any of the terms. None of them double checked any of the property values. They didn't even have like if you have any basic understanding of this, I'm sure if you looked at it and you saw, oh, Mar-a-Lago is valued at like $400 million, but it's actually 18 million. If you had any understanding of the real estate market, then wouldn't you just immediately go, that's like 20 times too much? I mean, am I crazy for thinking that? Because I feel like either like there's something's fucking weird going on. So we're supposed to believe that none of these banks did any due diligence. None of them suspected at all. They just did it. And like they approved his hundreds of millions of dollars in loans with significantly less due diligence and scrutiny than when someone approves an expense report for a client meal at Harvey's. Basically, is what we're supposed to believe. That they just gave him. Trump's just like, my properties are worth like 5 times what I say they are. And they're like, oh, here you go, man. Just take this money. We don't need to ask any questions. Although, ironically enough, if they had have done that, they got their money back. They got the interest paid. No one lost any money on it. And that's the other insane thing. Literally, they're shutting down the Trump organization because Trump placed a subjectively higher value that the bank agreed with in a fair business deal. And then the bank made money, but the bank didn't make as much money as they maybe could have with a lower asset valuation. And this is what's supposed to make us angry. This is what's supposed to like get gamers to rise up, to get people out in the streets. 100% Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million. So I'm starting a relief fund. Send me your money, and we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna pay these bankers back for all the money that Trump stole from them.